Oh, okay. This is going to be a quick one. I promised it would be 5 minutes or less. And I just got home and it's 9:30 at night and I'm about to eat a salad and then go to bed because I'm hungry. But I'm going to eat a salad because whatever. So today was a really incredible day and I wanted to share it with you. I I volunteer for the Women's March in Sacramento, and they had hosted a rally this morning, which a lot of you know about. It was the National School Walkout Day, and we hosted a rally this morning, and it was so inspiring because we had different assembly men and women coming to speak, and then we also had students speaking, and we had a pretty good turnout of people. It was right in front of the NRA office on 555 Capitol. There was a reason. Plus, a young girl and her sister they wrote a song, and one of them performed it. And I will put it on my Instagram and post it here as well. Words just can't express how moving it is to be around the youth today. They're so clear and concise in what they want and what they don't want. And they're using their voices to make a difference. And I'm witnessing this, and it's incredible. One moment I know I came to tears. One of the speakers, Rebecca Gonzalez, she's an assemblywoman. She also, her son died at Sandy Hook. So she was there speaking on behalf of her son Daniel and all of the other young kids that were murdered at Sandy Hook. Massacre. That was probably the pinnacle of this morning, of everybody who spoke. I should stop saying, I'm tired, I'm in bed. Now, later on, right after the rally was done, we raced over to do a student lobby training with almost 40 students that came from Sacramento and San Francisco. There were a busload of students that came up from San Francisco because they were given an opportunity to speak with their legislator, their senators in their respective, cities and counties. So we had volunteers come and sort of give pointers, give a little background on who they were, and then gave little tips on how Congress works and how a bill is passed and the different channels that it goes through. Then gave tips on what to talk about, how to approach. And then 10 of us chaperones had our groups and we hit the Capitol. So I started out with only 2 students and I ended up with 5. And there were only, I want to say 3 of them were Sacramento and 2 were San Francisco of my students. And let me tell you what, so listening to these students talk, it was so important to me. I love working with the youth because you can never stop learning from them, getting the world from their perspective. And I learned that racism is still alive and rampant, right, in school. And I say this because there was a thread that I had on my page yesterday, and my friend Christopher Pickerel was going on, and then he was private messaging me, and he really believed at some point, I don't know why, he believed that racism was no more. And then he goes, but I could be wrong. And I'm like, Chris, you are so wrong you don't even realize. Maybe around him and where he lives in San Diego as a predominantly Caucasian male. In San Diego, he doesn't experience it. But the students that we're talking today, several of them wanted to talk about that and combating that in school. I loved all of my kids. You saw the picture. I posted it earlier, right? Great kids ranging from age 16 to 17. One in particular, Aaron. I learned so much from Aaron. So the first thing when I introduced myself to my group, I said, oh, who's team 7? Because I was group 7. They raised their hands. I said, awesome. I said, I'm your chaperone for today. And Aaron puts their hand out and says, what are your pronouns? And I said, I identify as female. She, her. I'm Aaron. I am they, them. And then it went from there. And so I asked them each a background of what brought them there. And these two, it was Abrea and Aaron, are from San Francisco. And they've already had 2 lockdown situations in a year that were life-threatening. There wasn't a drill. It actually happened. Also, dealing with severe, how to handle mental issues and about having proper counseling, not just for students, but students who identify as trans and non-binary, because Aaron identifies as non-binary. So my tips to them, because I'm learning politics as I go along. Those of you who know me know I'm not as up on politics, but that's changing since volunteering with Women's March Sacramento and doing these events. I'm learning so much. But what I could share with these students is how to present yourself. As a speaker, as a journalist, as a podcaster, radio personality, I can share with them that knowledge. And one of the things I encourage them all to do, I said, when you meet these senators and you introduce yourself, include your pronouns. Because the only way we're going to educate the world on the fact that trans people and non-binary people exist is to start the lingo and make it a household habit. So when you introduce yourself, you make sure to explain to them what your pronouns are. I tell you what, Erin has been an activist since she was 10, since she can remember. The school that she goes to in San Francisco was the first school to have LGBTQ, was it IA now? LGBTQIA history. So she's done a lot of groundbreaking things. Sorry. They do a lot of groundbreaking things. I have to correct that. They, them. And so here we are rushing around because we have appointments with these senators, and we're trying to rush on the different floors because I've never been to the Capitol, and we're trying to find where we go. And the students are doing a great job at researching the senators so that they can better appropriate their questions to them and learn how to have a healthy conversation. And with Aaron was very specific in wanting to know what was going to be done in schools to cater to trans students and non-binary students. That it isn't enough just to be about the traditional he, she, sex identification, which is something I'm learning about because that's not something I grew up with. And it's only something that's been recent in my world. And unfortunately for our team, actually most of us, we didn't get a chance to talk with senators. They were, zipping around doing meetings. They often do. I think one group of our 10 group got lucky and were able to actually talk with the senator. So that was bomb. Everyone else, we ended up talking with their aides or their staffers. But the last 2 groups, the staffers were amazing. The San Francisco students, Abrea and Aaron, were supposed to speak with Hannah Beth Jackson. Am I saying that right? Hannah Beth Jackson, I believe, but she was literally tied up in a meeting that went over. So we spoke with her staffer, Nora, who was incredible. She sat there and was very engaged and empathetic with the students. She wrote down what they had to say. They ended up being on the same page with the not wanting guns in school. These students are so adamant about not wanting guns in schools. And Aaron is firing off fact after fact, after fact after fact about guns. And Aaron's 17. And the staffer is writing them down. And then, it was just great. They were on the same page with not wanting guns in schools. The third one, the student that wanted to speak with their senator who wasn't in, we spoke with their staffer. Then we wanted to speak with Jim Bell, but he wasn't in. So Gregory is his person appointed who specializes in mental illness because that's what Isabel wanted to talk about. She goes to a specific school in Sacramento that there's only 200 students in the school, but they focus on medical. It's a medical school. for being a doctor, a nurse, that sort of thing. And Isabel wanted to know about what was going to be done with improving counseling at the schools. They don't even have it. They're so small, it isn't in the budget. These students know that a lot of it comes down to budget, and they're prepared to discuss putting it in the budget and making it work and shifting some things around so these things come to the forefront. Gregory let them know that they're doing the right thing and they're on the right path with doing the rallies and speaking. He even encouraged them, saying, you should come to bills when bills are being discussed and trying to be passed and wanting to be put on ballots. You need to be here. You students, this is from his mouth. He says, you students have more power than you realize. And you can move and make things happen. You have more power than you realize. Show up to these bills. Talk in support or protest. Your voice means everything. And we all shook hands and exchanged the emails, and I learned so much from these kids, today. And I'll leave with this because I said this was going to be 5 minutes or less. So we were walking out of the elevator going to the next appointment, and I'm asking Aaron, so what do I say with you? I said, you know how people go, ladies and gentlemen, how do I address you? As we're walking out of the elevator, and I've got my arm around Aaron's neck, we're walking. I'm like, so how do I say your, what do I do? And this is what Aaron says. This was so cute. Aaron says, you say, guys and gals and non-binary pals. I was like, oh my God, I love that. From now on, it's going to be guys, when I address a room, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Aaron has an answer for everything. Aaron admitted freely that Aaron suffers from severe mental illness, has rage issues. But Aaron is highly intellectual, and Aaron wouldn't hurt a flea. Aaron is just tired and mad of what's not being done for students like Aaron and students in general. These kids know, I'm telling you what, these kids have already pre-registered because that's passed. I don't know if you know this, but kids can pre-register at 16 so that by the time they're 18, they're automatically registered to vote. These kids have done it. They're ready. They cannot wait to vote. Anyhow, I wanted to share that. And I'm hoping a lot of you that are watching this will get behind these students. Whether you agree or not with how they feel, it is so important that you acknowledge how they feel. It's very important that you validate their feelings and you support them for speaking up and you encourage them to vote now more than ever. It is so important. And above all else, listen to them. They know what they're talking about and they're tired of adults not listening. If I can just pass that nugget to you. So anyhow, guys and gals and non-binary pals, I say good night. Thank you for watching. And remember, every day that you wake up, it is you who determines how your day will go. So manifest to be your best. Get some rest. Tomorrow's a new day.